But you do get these economies of scale that we've learned from other chains and other places that we can then kind of expand into Hedera with.
Yeah, so I mean, it allows you guys to kind of really look at that VC funding route too. Based on the success within certain ecosystems, I would assume whenever as liquidity grows and as things grow, do these sub-DAO tokens that you guys have released, it allows for, I guess, for more options for Pangolin as a whole and within these individual communities. Is that kind of a little bit of it in a nutshell?
Exactly right. So what it does is, that token will represent how positive people are about the Hedera ecosystem. Eventually, I think in about a year's time, we'll probably have to migrate all these tokens into a single canonical once the technology catches up. In terms of VCs, I mean, we have a lot of these discussions and we talk a lot with our lawyers about whether, well, first of all, like whether VC funding, we've always bootstrapped, we've always kind of made it on our own. So whether we want that VC capital is a question. What do those VCs bring besides purely capital? As we've seen with FTX and Alameda, there's bad actors in the space, in all spaces. So we have to be very conscious of that. Yeah.
And real quick, just like so that the community knows, because I know you guys are, fairly developed out and built out into multiple ecosystems right now. Internally within Pangolin, what is the team size that you guys have? How many, devs, like as a whole, like what does the Pangolin ecosystem look like from a team standpoint?
Yeah, so we're very dev heavy. We've got like an assortment of full-time people, contractors, and then, kind of part-timers. In terms of full-time people, there's a mixture, but about 14 full-time. I think almost everyone is fairly technically competent. So like, for example, I mean, 8 full-time engineers, that's literally just what they do. But then like even some of the biz dev guys are like more, I'd argue, solution architects. So they might not dev as much, but they do architect solutions or they do research and stuff. And then we've got our moderators. We also have an intern program, which we're going to expand upon significantly in 2023. So the intern program has been amazing, actually. So the guy that came up with Sunshine and Rainbows, he came through the intern program. So all we do is we have an intern program. They do a bunch of stuff. If they, if they prove that they like can contribute to the team, we'll then move them into full time. And the guy that came up with Sunshine and Rainbows came through the intern program. So
I think
very
that's
cool.
such a massive value proposition within Web3 too, is really cultivating talent from within your communities. Like it's one of the things that we really haven't seen like anywhere else, at least, especially like recently in this space. Like, think about how many Discords people are handling right now, where that they literally have team members now that just used to be in the Discord. Yeah. And I will say, because this is coming out at the beginning of January, we're going to release this, but and obviously it doesn't really matter now because it's like late December or middle of December. But I checked out Pangolin's site and there's obviously a HashPack wallet download. So for any of you sleuths out there that are like looking into the DevNet or anything like that, maybe you caught that as well. And you talked about a lot of the value. It was one of the questions that I had, a lot of the value that Pangolin's going to be bringing to the Hedera ecosystem. You talked about farming, liquidity pools, staking, the Sunshine and Rainbows aspect from a governance standpoint, governance contracts down the road, on-chain governance, or on Hashgraph governance, I should say. From an education standpoint, how does Pangolin try to educate, new users that are onboarding into DeFi? Because if I combine 2 assets and I create a liquidity token and I do X, Y, and Z, and then I don't know about impermanent loss, and then I'm down the road, I'm like, oh crap, like how do you educate people in a way that's like easy to understand? And I think that it is. There's no easy answer to that, but like, how does Pangolin do it right now, and how do you kind of see that going moving forward from an educational standpoint?
Yeah, so it's a great question. So I mean, I think a lot of So really, the way we educate, obviously, with documentation. So we've got to make sure our documentation. But again, that also relies on people self-educating. And unfortunately, most people, there's a reason an ape is a meme in crypto, because a lot of people put their money in first and research only once they've lost money. We've all done it. I don't think any of us are immune to that. So there's definitely an educational piece. The way we see education internally is there's a separate piece that I'm busy spinning off in the new year, which will actually develop educational content. So we actually spoken to a bunch of teachers. from the Thorchain community, because we love the Thorchain guys and girls, and they've got like some educators, and we're working on some course content that'll go through like an online course, which will be completely open source. And then whoever completes that course will then also have an opportunity to enter the intern program. But you're right. I mean, I guess we talked about an academy for a long time, and that's kind of where this this educational piece developed from. But again, it's through multiple channels. Twitter threads. What is impermanent loss? What are your risks? It's a technical space, so we can provide the content, but it's that whole you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. So you've got to hope that you inculcate a culture where it's like, look, we'll give you whatever information you need, but that's the beauty of crypto. You're responsible for your own decisions.
Yep, I know, I agree. I mean, we started with a report aspect. At the very beginning, it was very slow rolling because it was like, if we're providing a free report in an agnostic way across multiple different value sectors of this ecosystem, and it's like, man, how do we drive more traffic into this? Like we have so many content creators and researchers trying to provide education, and it's like, how do we get more people to actually want to learn about this space? But it's continuity, really is what it is. It's just building continuity, and it's just continuing to do it. And I'm curious, because I know we're kind of wrapping this up here, but two last questions. The first one that I really do think is an interesting question to ask to somebody that is actually like building out real decentralized and DeFi ways for people to like potentially succeed in Web3. What do you think that the future of DeFi represents? I mean, we heard JP Morgan saying that they're essentially going to be, and I don't necessarily trust Jamie Dimon or JP Morgan or any of those guys, but wanting to flow trillions through DeFi. So this, I think we all know that this stuff is coming. Where do you think we're at as far as where is DeFi at now? How early are we? And what do you think, the next cycle is really going to bring us? We had 2020 with DeFi, 2021 with NFTs, even though NFTs started all the way back in 2015 with colored coins on Bitcoin. Where do you think DeFi is going to go at, into the near future with this next cycle?
Yeah, so I think we've proven that the technology works. There's been all these failures, and you look at FTX and you look at all of them. Who did they pay back first? They paid back the DeFi protocols because you couldn't convince the code that you were honest. You literally, so like when 3 Arrows Capital, all of them collapsed, they paid back the lending protocols first because they had to. So we proved that the technology works, so that's a very important stage. I think NFTs are what brings retail in. It brings in, a lot more users. So I think NFTs are here to stay. I think, they're great for bringing in more people to our space. More people into our space means better adoption, which is great. I think we're going to see a lot more regulation. You can see it now with the FTX hearings and all of that stuff going on. I think there's going to be forced KYC on most of these protocols if they want to comply with US law. What that's going to look like is going to be interesting. Zero knowledge provides a very good alternative to, the Web 2 way of storing credentials, where if their servers get hacked, you're just out of luck. Whereas at least with zero knowledge, we can provide safe, good alternatives to taking people's credentials from them. And I think zero knowledge.
How are you guys integrating? And you said zero knowledge a couple of times during this. So obviously zero knowledge proofs, which in my basic lack of understanding about everything in this space, zero knowledge proofs are basically just the minimum amount of information that I have to give to you so that you know that I'm me, so that I can participate in whatever I want to participate in. And obviously there's levels of that. But
yeah.
Pangolin integrating that right now as far as like zero knowledge proofs are concerned, and what is your thought? Like, I'm just curious because I know you brought it up a couple of times, and I don't hear many people say ZK a lot. So
it's super early. Like for me, the thing is zero knowledge is the future. It's going to be the most, it's going to change the world fundamentally. It's amazing. Like I'm a fan, obviously. But the thing is, it's very like all technologies, it's very like, it goes on a wave, and we're in an early wave. So zero knowledge is like, it's basically, let's say, for example, you want to know that like I'm a South African Australian, right? So now you like, if I go onto your DeFi protocol, you need, like, I can access certain things as a South African and certain things as an Aussie. So then it's like, okay, so now normally in a 6, you would say, oh, yeah, now I want both your passports. I'm going to give you copies of my passport. You're going to store that in a centralized database. When that database gets hacked, it's going to be distributed everywhere, and I'm going to get scammers phoning me for a year. Okay,
Yep.
in zero knowledge, it says, oh, yeah, you don't have to give me your passport to prove that you're South African or Aussie. So with zero knowledge, so I can cryptographically prove that I'm a South African and an Aussie without ever having to give you a copy of my passport. Therefore, my identity and my data is safe. You're not farming it like a Facebook or any of those people. It's just, you can prove things without giving things up.
Yep. No, and I love it because I agree with you. I really do think that, I'm really interested to see where like the work around zero knowledge proofs goes in the very near future, because I think when we start tying in, which is coming no matter what anybody else thinks, like digital identity and all, there's going to be a convergence of all of these technologies within, probably within this decade. A lot of this stuff is going to come to light, or at least we'll see where this is going from the regulatory standpoint about how this looks. No, I love it. And you're like one of the first people I've interviewed that actually brought up zero knowledge proofs. So kind of the last question that I have, being that you are going to be coming to the Hedera community, or by the time that this launches, it'll literally be like impending any day. If you had a chance to speak to the Hedera community about what Pangolin represents, kind of just in 30 seconds, like what is Pangolin bringing? And I know we touched on it this entire thing, but it's great for like just a short snippet clip. So Pangolin is coming to the Hedera Hashgraph, and we have an opportunity for you to kind of talk to the community and be like, what is Pangolin actually going to bring in just kind of a short elevator pitch, like not pitch, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. So I think that we want to be good community members, like first and foremost, right? So like, yeah, we bring in a DEX and stuff, but we're part of the community. So we want to contribute to that community. We also want to bring our learnings. So currently, there's a lot of innovation that we see on other chains that we think that would do really well on Hedera. So we want to take all of these learnings we get from being a multi-chain DEX and use that in order for the community to get access to the latest versions of this technology, right? So and within that, we want to contribute back. We want to make sure that it's a safe community. One of the key things is like, for example, within smart contracts, you want to make sure that smart contracts are verified on the Hashgraph, so that people can see what they're interacting with. We want to make sure that rugs don't occur, or that there's good actors, and that if there's bad actors entering the space, we have tools as a community to combat them. So it's a community, it really is. We want to bring this technology, we want to use it, we want to make sure that you love our technology, because we want to build great products that our users love. But it's more than that. It's we want to be good community members.
No, I really appreciate it. Again, everybody. Well, for you, Justin, I know how early it is, right? I know how early it is where you're at right now. I know how busy you certainly are on a daily basis. Again, we had Justin Trollip, CEO and PM, or if you would like to refer him to the self-imposed title as Chief Herder within Pangolin. There you guys heard it. The Pangolin DEX is coming to Hedera, and by the time that this launches, it's probably going to be literally any day. Thank you so much, Justin, for your time. I'm sure that we're going to be doing another one of these interviews in probably early 2023 as well. And if you're listening to this and watching this, it is early 2023 for you. So I will talk to you guys when I talk to you. And Justin, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, Solomon. Real pleasure.